Welcome to Awake, and this is Heidi Albidi, Dr. Heidi Albidi, and she's a naturopath. And today we're going to talk about insomnia. As a therapist, my name's Eric Vano. If you're new to tuning into us, as a therapist during COVID, especially, I've seen an incredible increase in insomnia, and it's like one of the number one complaints that people come into my office with is I just can't sleep, and some people have a hard time getting to sleep after a busy day or stressful day. A lot of other people, no problem. They sleep very well, and then they wake up in the middle of the night and can't get back to sleep. And as we know, we'll talk about this. Dr. Heidi and I are going to share a lot of great information with you about doing healing the system so that you can get some good sleep, because I think we all know how important good sleep is, and I'm sure we'll touch on that today. But before we jump into helping people solve their insomnia, Dr. Heidi, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself and your practice as a naturopath?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Eric, so much for having me on today. So, like you said, I'm a naturopathic doctor, and I practice out of Taspins right now in Conifer. I'm also doing a lot of telemedicine. Of course, we're all kind of staying at home right now. So, that's also available if anyone's interested. But yeah, I got into natural medicine because I saw a need. Going through college, really didn't know what exactly my path was going to be, but I did know that a lot of people around me were sick, and, cancer runs in my family, diabetes, Alzheimer's. And I just looked at the way that they were being treated, and everybody was dying on me. And, I thought there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to treat people, to look at diseases. And then, sure enough, my second year of college, I found the Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine down in Tempe. And I was just amazed that I could be a doctor and still prescribe nutrition and herbs and supplements and really get people better from the core. And so I spent my time in medical school really figuring that out and saying, okay, how can I really get you better? I don't just want to put a Band-Aid on things. I don't want to, instead of you using a statin drug, we use red yeast rice or something like that. I really wanted to find the true cause of disease. So I started studying the why. So why are people getting sick? And so today I really want to talk to you guys about why do you have insomnia? Why are you not sleeping at certain times of day? And so I will, throughout this podcast, I want to dive into kind of the Chinese medicine and the Chinese philosophy of possibly why we're having sleep issues or insomnia. But at the end, I'm going to give Eric a link to an email that you guys can get, and it will give you some of my steps. So some of my tips on how to sleep better and the things that you should do, right away to kind of get you to sleep better. So you guys have some hands-on take-home things from this day too. Yeah, but like I said, I want to kind of talk about the Chinese clock. And so, Eric, is it okay if I share my screen now?
Yeah, and if you're listening on audio, we'll put a link to this image so that you can check it out. And if you're watching on video, then Heidi's going to share her screen right now and get into how to start to look at insomnia from a more holistic perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys can see here, this is kind of a 24-hour clock. And so in Chinese medicine, let me give you a background a little bit. So I studied Chinese medicine in naturopathic school, and I use it a ton in my practice. I think that they did a great job at combining the organ systems into, with muscles, with nutrition, with times of day, with times of season. And so that's what this clock is showing you. So it's showing you the different times of day and when different organ systems are activated. And so in the Chinese medicine theory, we have this energy within us called qi. And different theories of medicine believe in this qi, but it's really this like vital force that we say in naturopathic medicine. It's like the force that we have that brings life to our body, to our energy. And so the Chinese medicine doctors found that at different times of day, different organ systems have more energy in them. So they're more activated. And that's kind of the language I'm going to use throughout this is that, okay, so, this organ's activated at this time. So I was thinking of where to start, and I was thinking, oh, well, let's start at, like 9 o'clock when people should be settling down to go to bed. Well, but as I was doing my research, I think it would be a disservice to you guys if we don't really just run through the whole clock. So I'll take some of the, daytime things a little more quickly, and then we'll really focus on the nighttime things. But in Chinese medicine, or not even in Chinese medicine, in life, right? Like when we're trying to focus on our sleep, the biggest thing that I recommend for people is have a routine. Our body and our adrenal glands, and if you guys aren't familiar with the adrenal glands, we can definitely go into that on a different day, a different topic. But our adrenal glands, they really, really run on routine. And so our adrenal glands is what is producing cortisol, which is that wake up hormone. And it also is regulating our melatonin, which is our sleep hormone. And so if you have a good routine, where you're going to bed at the same time every night, waking up around the same time every night, that's like my number one for insomnia, is make yourself this routine so that you can kind of get better. And so the Chinese medicine doctors, they have a routine for us because this is when different organ systems are activated at different times. So in the Chinese medicine clock, we start at 3 a.m. For some reason, it just starts at 3 a.m. and that's when the lungs are active. So at 3 a.m., they really believe this should be our deep sleep time. This is when we should really be, sound asleep. Not many people are up at 3 a.m. However, if you are awake at 3 a.m., it could mean that there's something going on within your lung meridian. So it could be your lungs themselves, but it could also be the meridian around your lungs. So that's, from your chest and it goes down your arm. And so, think about that. So if you have a wakefulness from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m., think lungs, and think, that it could be one of the issues. This is also, so not only are we deep sleeping, but we're also, kind of digesting and detoxing from the lungs, so from the respiratory area. So if you're not asleep at this time, it's, it could be detrimental to your health. You'll find that all of these organs that are activated while we're sleeping really help to regulate our body and to regulate healing. With nervous system activation, the parasympathetic nervous system is activated at night, and that is our rest and digest. And if we're not sleeping, then we're really not healing, because that is when, we are to heal. Okay, so from 3 to 5 is the lungs. From 5 to 7 is the large intestine. So first thing in the morning, best thing to do is have a good bowel movement. Make that a part of your schedule as well, a part of your routine, because that's when the large intestine is activated. And so the large intestine really helps physically and mentally. We just want to let go of things. So now is a really good time from 5 to 7 to do some meditation, because we're able to just let go of that physical in our bowels, but then also, let go of all the things around us, spend that time meditating. So from 5 to 7. From 7 to 9 up here is going to be our stomach time, when that has the most energy in it. And so that is the best time to eat your biggest meal of the day. I think this is one of the reasons why people say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, because that's when our stomach energy is activated and highest. So we really want to make sure that we're eating a good breakfast. This is also a great time for concentration, and to really put a lot of energy into work that you have to get done, or creativity, thinking, that kind of stuff. So that's from 7 to 9 a.m. is the stomach. From 9 to 11 a.m. is the spleen. And so the spleen and pancreas. And so that is really when things are digesting. And so what the spleen does is it separates, some of the things that we need, that nutrition that we need, versus the toxins that we have. And so it's spending a lot of time separating those things here at 9 to 11 a.m. So you might find yourself a little more sleepy at that time. So just kind of note these things. The other thing is, so again, I said pancreas in here. So if you have any blood sugar issues, um, really pay attention to that time between 9 and 11. Another good thing about the Chinese clock that I really like is that it helps me as a practitioner figure out where my patients have deficiencies or where they have issues that we need to kind of focus on, because they'll say, every morning at 10 a.m., I feel bloated, or I get really tired, like, their energy isn't up as much. And so it tells me that, okay, we need to look at the spleen and the pancreas and hormone regulation, blood sugar regulation. How are you digesting your food? So it gives me a really good idea at, okay, how do I best treat this patient in front of me? So the next time we're getting into the fire meridian. And so heart is from 11 to 1. So the heart pumps circulation, right? It pumps our blood throughout our body. And so this is a time where things are moving. So you should have a little more energy now from 11 to 1. It's a good time to eat again. So this is when our next meal could be is lunch. And it's a high energy time, whereas spleen was a low energy time, stomach was a high energy time. Now we're back to heart, high energy time. Going into the small intestine from 1 to 3, this is another low energy time. So this is often when the siesta happens, right? When we take our, midday nap is in that small intestine time. And so now is when the body is really putting a lot of energy into the digestive tract and less energy into, the mind and all of those things. So 1 to 3 is a good time for, that cat nap in the middle of the day. To support your small intestine, which is going to help to, break down your food and digest your meals. Okay, so the next time, now we're moving into water. So bladder from 3 to 5. This is also kind of a low energy time. These next two are, bladder is our longest meridian in Chinese medicine. And so it actually touches on all of the other meridians and all of the other organ systems. So now is a time when everything is assimilating. You ate your meal for the day, you're assimilating. In Chinese medicine, they have this saying that of how to eat during the day. So in the morning, you should eat like a king. In the afternoon, you should eat like a common person. And in the evening, you should eat like a beggar. And so that's kind of saying that in the morning, we have the most fire in our digestive tract. So that's when your biggest meal, eat like a king. In the afternoon, just kind of a little light lunch. And then in the evening, it should really just be kind of a snack before you go to bed. Not typically what our society has, which, may be why we have a lot of indigestion, bloating, stomach issues. So it also has to do with insomnia, because if we eat this giant meal before we go to bed, all of a sudden we have to rewrite this clock that was very neatly put out for us. And we have to put a lot of energy into digesting that meal. Believe it or not, our digestive tract takes the most energy throughout our everything. So after we eat a meal, if you get tired, it's because your digestive tract really needs more energy to digest than your body, needs to go run or work or, take care of your family or whatever it is. So think about that also when you're, planning your meals and trying to work on this insomnia piece. Okay, so next one is kidney. So that is from 5 to 7 p.m. So now we're getting into the nighttime. So now is when I'm really going to start focusing on how can we change these habits so that we can really help our sleep. So kidney is very, very, very important this time. Kidney is our essence. It's our chi. It's our soul. It's where we get our energy from. The kidney meridian actually starts on the bottom of your foot, the sole of your foot. And so this is a time when grounding is super important. So starting at about 5 a.m. or 5 p.m., you should, if you're going to eat again, this should be a very light meal before sleep. And now is the time to eat that meal and spend it with people you love. Kidney also has a lot to do with sex hormones and longevity. And so really nurture your kidney meridian. Now is a good time from 5 to 7 to take that nighttime walk, to just spend time with family that you love. The other thing I haven't been mentioning, which I will start now, is there are emotions that are attached to each of these meridians. And so the kidney emotion is fear. And so if there's anything that's fearful for you, so if from 5 to 7 you just are agitated, it's a hard time in the evening for you. At this point, the sun is starting to set because here we are in the fall already. And so it could be there's some fear around that. So it could be something around your kidneys. So if you were my patient, that's something I would look at. Like, let's address the kidney function. Let's make sure we're drinking enough water. Huge thing that I see, especially in Colorado, is a ton of my patients are just dehydrated, just mild dehydration, which really is affecting the kidney, which is, like I said, your essence, your chi, originates here. So really important to nurture the kidney and the kidney energy. All right, so 7 to 9 is our next one. We're back in the fire realm. And this is the time of circulation sex, which this is where a lot of our hormones are getting produced now. So again, good time, to have sexual relations during this time because we're really fired up. And so time to start transitioning into the bedroom. Now, outside of Chinese medicine, just kind of in my practice, I often recommend this is the time that lights are out. So we dim our lights in our house, we're turning off the TV, getting rid of that phone. With our modern life, the way that we live, we have a ton of blue light. And so blue light is just one of the light rays that we have in our phone, on our TVs. Oftentimes, a lot of the lights in our house are made with these blue lights, and it actually blocks melatonin production. And so melatonin is that sleepy hormone. And so it's the hormone that helps you fall asleep and stay asleep. And so when throughout the day, I wish I had another graph that showed this. We have an inverse relationship with cortisol and melatonin. And like I said in the beginning, cortisol is that like wake up, have energy hormone. Melatonin is the opposite of that. And so cortisol should start to decrease, about 3 o'clock. And then melatonin should start to increase. Well, when we have blue light on, so when we're watching TV all night or scanning through social media, we are actually blocking melatonin and increasing cortisol. So we're, doing a detriment to our physiological system by doing that. Not to mention the things that we find on the TV these days and on social media, especially right now in the middle of or beginning of October, lots of politics, right? Lots of people in our social media chains bantering back and forth. So not only is it physiologically affecting our sleep when we are on those devices, but it's also mentally affecting it, right? Because you're going to bed thinking about, whichever politician or whichever friend or family member that is disagreeing with you or whatever it happens to be. So between 7 and 9, especially right now in the fall, the sun is starting to set. So now is the time to, put away that phone, maybe pull out a book, or again, spend time with the people that you love, spend time with your family if you can, reading a book, taking a shower. Another thing I recommend in the handout you guys will get is to take a shower or a hot bath before you go to bed. The hot water will naturally just relax you, right? And a bonus, you can add some Epsom salt to it. You could add like a drop or two of essential oil. Lavender is a good nervine that actually relaxes your nervous system. So 7 to 9, that fire time, that's when the bath should happen. And just, we're really starting to down-regulate everything. Okay. All of my, and your Eric, patients who are women, listen up now because this next time is so important, 9 to 11. And I am guilty as well. I'm a new mom and baby's down, kids are down. And now all of a sudden we get our chance to, be alive, right? Now it's our turn to finish the laundry and do the dishes and all of that. Well, if you get anything out of this, I want you to take some time for yourself right now and just sleep during this 9 to 11 period. This is when our thyroid and adrenals are activated. So this is our endocrine system. And if I know any of you women out there, I'm the same way. Most of my patients fall in this category. we're starting to figure out like, oh, I'm tired all the time. Maybe it's my thyroid, maybe it's my adrenal gland, maybe it's my ovaries starting to shut down. Maybe we're coming into menopause. Whatever it is, between 9 and 11, this is when our hormones are going to produce the most. So this is when we need to be sleeping. Our body was meant to be sleeping from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. because that's when we're regulating our hormones, we're increasing our hormones. Super, super important here. I'm saying women, but men too. We need our testosterone just as much. And so men have their own cycle that they go through monthly, yearly, and definitely as you age also. So super, super important time to be asleep is right here in the thyroid zone. So if you're having insomnia, this is a time that you should do some meditation. So again, in my handout, you'll get a lot more kind of on the nuts and bolts to my recommendations of insomnia. And in there, it talks about things like doing some visualization, meditation before you go to sleep. I love just listening to somebody kind of walk me down a path through the woods, as I try to fall asleep at night. So if you're not able to fall asleep, at least get in bed, get into that zone of, relaxation. A lot of patients that I have, they have put themselves in the category of insomniac, and they just say, I don't sleep until midnight. And so they don't even try, to fall asleep until midnight. And I would, recommend looking that at a different way. Really start your nighttime routine around, the 7, 8, 9 o'clock time, because the more that you can start to, work your way into this normal rhythm, the better off you'll be, the more sleep that you'll end up getting. And then the healthier you're going to be. I only just recently started looking at sleep because I realized that there were so many people that just thought it wasn't necessary. And then they come into my office, and I know that they're in my office because of some problem, right? And so if your life was perfect without you sleeping well, then you wouldn't be seeing me, right? So I found that really trying to work yourself into this sleep pattern is important. And if you can't, well, maybe you need a little extra help. And so you should find yourself a naturopath. Come see me, come see Eric, ask more, because there's a reason. Again, if you're not sleeping at these times, there could be, not only do you need to sleep to support your thyroid and your adrenal glands and your endocrine system, but if you're not sleeping at this time, it also tells me that there could be something wrong in those systems. And so we really need to work on that. Either get you on a supplement or a better routine, or, figure out what we need to address to make sure that you can sleep, starting at 9 o'clock. But I'm going to get more into that on these next two, because the wood time of day is very, very important to our metabolic processes. So from 11 to 1 is the gallbladder time. So gallbladder is attached to the liver, both in Chinese medicine and in, anatomy. And so what they do is the gallbladder and the liver are there to help detox. So everything that you put in your body is going to get filtered through the liver. And so the liver's job is to say, okay, this is good, this is bad, where are we going to put certain things at? And so at night is often when this happens. And so for the gallbladder, the emotion here is irritability and resentment. And so if you're having insomnia at this time, or another common thing I find is people wake up at this time because of pain. And so if you are one of those people that wake at night with pain, well, I think we need to think about, those organ systems, and it could be more than just your arthritis flaring up. This is another super important thing, even in, Western medicine for my females, fertile and 40. That is kind of the acronym that they give us for the gallbladder, those are the people that are prone to any kind of gallbladder issue, whether it's stones or an attack. And so, really be cautious of this time from 11 to 1. If you are waking at that time, the first thing I would look at is gallbladder, liver. And so, like I said, it's irritability is the emotion. And I often find people are holding on to this. Again, I just keep turning to us women, but I think men too. You just go to bed just irritated at your kids or your spouse or politics and, the world we're living in right now. And you just, instead of doing something about it, you just kind of harbor it, right? And like push it down and you think, yeah, whatever, I'll just go to sleep and I'll wake up and it'll all be over and I'll, another day. Well, when you do that mentally, it's actually hurting your body physically. One of the things I say all the time in my practice is the issues are in the tissues. And so if you go to bed irritated or, resenting something, that is going to be stored all night long in your gallbladder. And maybe you wake up and you don't feel that same pain. Well, your body definitely feels it. And so, first of all, don't go to bed irritated. But also, there's things that we can do to get rid of that irritability really quickly. I'm sure Eric and I both have, ways of helping, to get these emotions off of the forefront of your mind, especially before you go to bed. So let's see, what else does the gallbladder do? This is also the time. So both of these times, the liver and the gallbladder, are really big in cellular repair. So like I said earlier, the only time that we're truly healing is when we're sleeping, because like I said, we have that sympathetic nervous system, that fight, flight, flee or freeze, really. And then we have that parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest, restore, heal. And so when you're sleeping, we're in that parasympathetic and we're really healing. So really important points here. But I would say in my practice, more than ever, if I hear that people are waking up between 11 and 1, boom, I think gallbladder. If people are waking up, so the next one is liver between 1 and 3, which honestly, that's the most common that I find people wake. I don't know. What do you think, Eric? Is that common for you too?
I hear 3 o'clock the most consistently for some reason. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So that wood time, that liver time. So the emotion for liver is anger. And so, as soon as I ask people like, oh, okay, so this is coming up, like, is there anything you're angry about? It's like, blah, 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 this huge list of things that they find. And same with gallbladder, that irritability, that resentment. But anger is a huge one. And so, like I said, the liver, that's where we detox. That's where it's kind of taking everything from the world, whether we breathe it in, we drink it, we eat it, we think it, and it's taking and it's detoxing and it's trying to get rid of all of that nonsense that we don't need, the toxins that we don't need. And so, yeah, I often find people waking at this 1 to 3 o'clock. And so, just think. And so, Eric, if you have people that always wake up 3, we have a little bit of work to do, right? Because that could be liver or lungs.
Mm.
So, so then I would ask more questions like any shortness of breath versus like bloating. And that kind of, will dictate whether it's lungs or liver. In my practice, I do a lot of muscle testing. And so I'll often muscle test, okay, if it's lungs, that's a deltoid test up here to see if that's the issue. If it's liver, that's more of the rhomboid test. And so we'll just kind of see like, okay, what organ system is the one that's the problem? And then what can we do to fix that organ system? And so again, with insomnia, what is it? What is it about insomnia? Is it that you can't fall asleep at night? So do we need to be over here on the kidney circulation sex side of things and trying to change your routine a little bit up over there? Or is it that you wake up in the middle of the night, looking at the wood, the metal over here? Or is it that your system is completely switched? And for a long time, I thought that was okay. And I thought, I actually read a book, their circadian code. I'm not sure who the author is on that one, but one of the theories was that, let's say you're not a morning person and you're let's go to bed at midnight and wake up at 9 a.m. And so I was telling my patients like, oh, it's totally fine. Why don't you tell your work that you just can't be in until 11, and just like change your lifestyle a little bit so that you can sleep when you feel best to sleep. Well, those people weren't getting better. And I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted to see with them. And so instead of, going off of that, I said, well, why don't we, kind of fix it, and let's really focus on your circadian rhythm and really focus on, this time over here with the fire and the circulation sex and the thyroid, and see if we can clean up that a little bit and actually get you to bed sooner. I know some trails of thought really say, like 10 to midnight or 10 to 2 a.m. is the best time to sleep, is some things I've heard. And yeah, if you look at it on this clock, right, it's the thyroid, adrenal, the endocrine time, that healing time with the gallbladder and detoxing. And so, really, physiologically in your body, it is a great time to be sleeping. So I have definitely, started more on the theories that, let's, instead of you changing your lifestyle to fit the way that, you live or the way that you sleep, why don't we actually change your sleep to fit more of this clock? Because I do really truly believe that most people fit into this category. And that's when I start seeing really good results, is when we start, cleaning up these organ systems and getting them to sleep better. And then one
Dr.
more
Heidi?
quick thing just wanted to mention too, is that when I do have a patient that typically has a great sleep cycle, and all of a sudden, they're waking up at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night, or 2 or whatever it is, then it's like, okay, great. We need to really address those adrenal glands or the thyroid, really focus on the endocrine system or whatever it is. So it just has given me a better way of treating patients, really by looking at this clock. So
Heidi, I can tell by the depth of how you look at things that it must be challenging when patients come in and they want to, I mean, in the West, it would be like, oh, why don't I just take Xanax or take some kind of a sleep aid to get sleep? And I'm curious from this system of depth, from a more Eastern medicine perspective, like why is that not a good idea? I'm going to guess, to just kind
yeah,
of put a
definitely.
Band-Aid on it, because it does stand to common sense in a way, like, oh, I can't sleep, so I'm going to take something to put me to sleep. But
Right.
I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah. So, well, for Xanax, for instance, it is, those types of drugs are actually kind of a Band-Aid in a way, but they're also depressing our whole system. And so when I look at the body, I'm not looking at it as an awake and an asleep. I'm looking at it as a whole person, and every moment of the day is important. And there's a reason that we sleep for, what do they say, like a third of our life, right? We're sleeping. And there's a reason for that. And it's because of all these processes really need to, work. And when you take things like that, you are completely just going against what our body wants to do. And you kind of, it's like saying, hey, body, I know you're going to make melatonin, but don't worry about it. I got it. I don't need your help. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to sleep. And when I wake up, I'm going to drink coffee, and you don't have to make cortisol. I got this under control. I'll just, drink coffee until, whatever, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I'm going to turn back to alcohol and have a glass of wine before I go to sleep. And it's like, we want to be in control of this clock. And by taking drugs, which, I even consider caffeine a drug, you're just telling your body, like, I don't need your help anymore. I can do this on my own. And so what I've seen with people taking Xanax or Tramadol, or even, what's the common one? Tylenol PM, people love to take. And I see that just over time, whether it's, weeks or years or whatever, they just have such a harder time regulating themselves. And, I really focus on, even the name of my company is Bring Us Back to Nature. And I really focus on, nature knows the best way that we can sleep. It knows the best, our bodies know what we need. And we, instead of listening in, we go out and we think, oh, let me just take something instead of listening in and saying, what do I really need right now?
Mhm.
So it's like, yeah, just putting earmuffs on the body and saying like, I don't need you anymore. Let me just figure this out. And then down the line, you're addicted because the body said, you didn't need melatonin, you didn't need this sleep time. So, I can't help you anymore. And that is actually an issue where people stop producing some of these hormones. And, it's really, really hard to regulate them again once it comes
But
to that.
and I can see why we like to work together with our patients and my clients. There's like a natural way to do things, and I heard a phrase recently. The easy way is actually the hard way, and the hard way is actually the easy way. And it feels like when you went into this whole picture of the whole 24 hours, I was thinking, well, let's just focus on the sleep time, the problem of insomnia. But I think what you're pointing to is, I don't know, it seems like a cultural problem almost, where in the West, where we want the quick fix. We look at the body like a machine, like, let's just fix one part of it. Like, let's fix this symptom of not being able to sleep with some medicine, say. But it seems more difficult to look at your whole day and to kind of do the right thing and get in tune with the natural rhythm of the body and of the way the sun sets and then we go to sleep and the sun rises and we get up. um, can you speak to that, like why it's worth putting the effort in? Because it becomes easier if you put the effort in, right? Than looking for the quick fix and the easy way out, like where I think we're trained to do in the West a lot.
Absolutely. And I love that saying that you just said. That's so much of what I do and what I try to teach my patients to do too. I often say like, okay, you're going to come to me and the beginning of our treatment time, it's going to be intensive and you're going to see me, frequently, but that is to grow all of this on your own so that yes, you may see me, a lot in the first 6 months, but for the next 60 years, you know what to do. And that is really what I'm trying to teach my patients is you might not get to sleep tonight. You might not get to sleep this whole week, but in years from now, like you won't have a problem getting to sleep. And we in our society, I think that we trust, the drugs and we trust the pharmaceuticals and because it's this quick fix and it's instant. But then we find ourselves like taking it every single night and, relying on the the pharmacist and Walgreens and to refill our prescription all the time. And my goal is to really, you guys don't need anything, right? Like you might need it again in the beginning to learn these techniques, but after you learn the techniques and after your body becomes aligned with the natural processes that it should be, you don't need it anymore. And yes, everybody is capable of, healing in this way. And so I think it's just, trusting for the first however long it takes, weeks, months, whatever, just trusting in the process, trusting in the medicine, trusting in nature that, it has been around for, before humans were even here. And, it really knows the way that you should be sleeping. I always tell people, think about what was human nature like, 200 years ago or 1,000 years ago. We didn't have all of these things, and yet we didn't even have lights, in some, if we go back 1,000 years ago, and people still slept and they woke up and they had kids and they got old and, the cycles go on. And so, yeah, I would just say definitely like trust in the medicine, trust in natural medicine and natural healing in nature, because it's never let us down before. So definitely come back to nature, right?
It almost sounds like something I've heard about, like you could think, oh, I'll take some melatonin as a more natural, solution. So perhaps that's moving in a more natural direction. But it sounds to me like what you're saying is, this is a big ask of people. That's the thing,
Totally.
because you don't see it right away is what I'm feeling into. Like to shift your lifestyle. What I want to say, if I'm honest, is I want to sleep well and I still want to watch TV till 9 o'clock. Um,
Sure.
and if I had like some struggle with my family, I'd rather just pass out and deal with it tomorrow. But
Yep.
from what you're saying and from my own experience, I know that it doesn't go away. It screws up your sleep. Um, it's like you need to put effort into changing your lifestyle and doing the right thing is what I would say. Like you're asking us to do the right thing, to get in alignment with how nature should work. How do you convince people to go for it and do it? Because it does seem like a sacrifice at first, because in the West, I think we want our cake and eat it too. Like we want to
Yeah,
break the rules of what really the wisdom that you're sharing with us is timeless. But we don't want to, we want both, right? We want to do whatever the hell we want, and
totally.
still get the great sleep. We think if we just take the Western medications, we can trick the system. But then we see all these chronic situations and sicknesses, and people aren't sleeping well. They're just not thriving. It just feels like we got to put in that effort to get the good long-term result. How, can you inspire us to do it?
Definitely. I mean, you hit on it right there. It's like we want these short-term solutions, but then we find ourselves down the road like miserable, right? So, and if you are in that miserable situation and you're taking the Xanax or the Tramadol or whatever it is, I do a lot of times put people on melatonin, especially when we're getting started, because it is, it's natural. It's, something our body makes, and it's just like a jump start. And especially if you've been on the sleep medications for a long time, you need it, because like I said, when you take these things, it's telling your body like, hey, you don't have to make that anymore. I got it. Well, if you don't got it because you've had, this drug for such a long time, I do put people on melatonin. And so the melatonin I would recommend taking around this like 7 to 9 o'clock stage, because that's when our bodies would typically make it anyways.
It's like giving the body a little
Because
help.
Exactly. Yep. It's just, and that's it. And it's just giving your body a little help. So I would recommend that to start. Yeah.
But
If
eventually, when the system's back in order, you're going to make the melatonin at the right time. So if you're doing all the right things, if you're shutting the
Exactly.
lights by 7 and you're just
Yep.
chilling, taking it easy, reconnecting with family, you said, I can just
Yep.
feel that energy of slow down and lights out and relax. And then the body's naturally going to make its melatonin. And then in the morning, instead of needing that coffee, it sounds like if you do all these right things and get back in tune with nature, you may enjoy some hot beverage in the morning, but it's not because you need it, because
Right.
your cortisol is going to kick in at the right time to give you the energy for your day, right?
Yep. Yep.
What's
Absolutely.
the final result of putting all this effort in to change away from a lot of Western ways that aren't serving us? Like, how do you get to feel if we're asking a lot of people to put this energy in to shift. Like, even when you said about eating, we in the West, we eat a huge dinner. And
Hmm.
that's like, with the body, I'm learning more and more that's not the right way to do it. And a lot of people I know skip breakfast. A lot of my clients,
Yeah.
and it's like, it sounds like the worst thing you can do. So if we're going to put the effort in, what's the result if you start to eat right and do the right thing?
Yeah. What a great point, right? I mean, it's the result is what we're all looking for, which is, health, happiness, energy. The early bird gets the worm. I think that saying is just, it's true and true. And, if you want to start a new career, especially right now, right? Like if you want to be your own boss, if you want to, homeschool your kids now and all these things, like the best time to do it is in the morning. And the people who wake up and just grungy and just imagine what would life be like if you woke up excited, excited to take on the day and get your whole to-do list done by noon and, you know, get the kids fed and have these healthy meals and better relationships with people. If you're over here in, this stage of anger and all of that before you go to sleep and just waking up miserable, like, don't we all just want to wake up happy and energetic and ready to go do stuff and attack life? And my goal for my patients, I'm glad you brought this up, because my goal for everybody listening is be the best person that you can be, because we need you. This world needs you. We really need all of us to just be on point, because we all have a purpose. And we need you out there doing your purpose and making the world a better place. And I think it starts with sleep, getting a good night's sleep and waking up happy, for sure.
Well, thanks, Heidi. I think I hope that this is very helpful to everyone watching and listening. to realize that it probably won't be a quick fix if you're suffering from insomnia, but it's going to be worth the effort. And you have guides waiting to help you. And Heidi, Dr. Heidi is one of them. Dr. Heidi, how can they get in touch with you to or that information that you wanted to share too? How can they get that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the best and easiest way for you guys to get all my information, I got a bit.ly. And so you can just go to bit.ly, so bit.ly/5sleep-tips-now. So 5sleep-tips-now. And then you can sign up and I will send you your sleep tips right to your email. And then from there, you can schedule with me. Dr. Heidi Albidi, I'm actually the only Heidi Albidi in the whole world. So if you Google me, you'll find everything you need to know.
Well, great. Thanks, Dr. Heidi. And I look forward to, I feel like our next conversation could be about diet. That's people want to know how to eat right. And there's so many theories. And I bet you and I could put it in a more simple, digestible way that works. Would you think we could at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great.
Like what we put in our body, it seems so important. So
yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, thanks, Dr. Heidi. Have a great day.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Eric. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.